Gentle here.
I'm not the person that you think I am.
I think you are exactly the person that I think you are. I think you're not the person that you think you are. I think that's where the confusion is. Yaha. Look, just hear me on this, okay? Please?
You can walk away.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna leave you with this.
Okay.
And percolate on it over the weekend like your little coffee machine. You're attracted to me. You're intrigued by me. You think I'm a wild horse and you want to tame me. I understand all of that. It's the new frontier of misogyny. Take a woman who's in control of her life and then silence her. And I'm up for it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Girls. We are just two boys watching HBO's Girls. We are your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And boy, oh boy, do we have a doozy of an episode for you today. Vance is going to have a little victory dance going on at some point, I feel like.
Well, I'm not gonna march around because I got my big prediction that that eventually when that happens in the last episode,
yeah,
I'll do something. But
popping bottles on
but
that
no,
one.
we called it from the title that this was going to be Hannah's
No,
dad.
we didn't call it, Vance. You called it.
All right, I called
Big
it.
ups to Vance on this episode.
Well, the title kind of gave it away, and just a little bit of the tease. I'm just happy a tease that has happened since the first season, and then happened earlier this season. Finally, just paid off. Like we don't get a lot of big payoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and this one paid it off. But before we get into that, we gotta intro the old episode. This is episode 40. 40! Season 4, episode 8, titled Tad and Loreen and Avi and Shanaz, directed by Jamie Babbitt, written by Lena Dunham and Jenny Connor, original air date March 8th, 2015, to an audience of 708,000 people, 0.708 million. And as I said, this is a big episode. Yeah. A lot of stuff going on. I liked it. I liked it too. It was a good episode too.
Yeah, this episode is also the misogyny episode.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the running thread through it.
A lot of people being called out on misogyny, or like if people are down with misogyny or something,
without there being a lot of actual misogyny happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a lot of talking about it, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Shall we do character breakdowns?
Yeah, let's yeah.
All right, I guess we can.
How do you? Yeah, I was going to say, how do you want to do it? Do you want to start with the big one or go?
We can. I feel like we can lead up to the big stuff.
Okay.
We can do Jessa first. She had a little throwaway scene. I
think Jessa's with Shoshanna. I feel like that's all just looped into Shoshanna.
Yeah, let's do Shoshanna and tiny Jessa and the tiny little bit of Ray too.
Yeah.
In this story.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all. I figure that's all Shoshanna.
Yeah. So Shoshanna is hanging out with Jessa, and it looks like Shoshanna's like plucking her vagina hair or something.
I wrote down tweezing her pubes, but maybe picking out ingrown hairs from I don't know. She's just sitting on the toilet with her underwear on, but she's picking around the bikini line area. Yeah. So
yeah, it was. Hey, that's just some shit that us boys, we're not gonna know about.
Nope.
Not even gonna fathom to understand it, but that's what I saw. Not sure if that's what was actually happening, but who knows. And Jessa is blabbing at Shoshanna basically about how she's gonna win Ace back still. She's still on this Ace dude.
Yeah. And
she's gonna win him back somehow. I really wasn't paying that much attention because I was trying to figure out what Shoshanna was doing.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to a lot of Jessa's stuff, but she's kind of giving Shoshanna advice about how to win this soup mogul over.
Yeah. Shoshanna's got a date with Scott, the soup guy.
Okay.
From the last episode, Jason Ritter. the thing that stuck out that Jessa said in this scene is that Shoshanna was basically like, you don't really know what you're talking about, I feel like. And then Jessa said something about how she had 4 suicide attempts of her ex-lover. She's like, I think I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And Ace is gonna want to fall in love with me. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Wait, this show loves the jokey suicide reference. Which,
very, very gallows humor.
Yeah, gallows humor. Like, I'm not like, oh man, you can't ever do stuff like that. But like, it happens so much in the show.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, man. I feel like that'd be haunting if somebody like said that. Yeah,
because we had the one where Elijah was talking about his ex-boyfriend.
Pal.
Pal being like gay somewhere else and wanting to commit suicide. And then we had Hannah in Iowa calling her parents and being like, have you ever thought of suicide? Like, there's a lot of like suicidal references without it being actual like
like a threat.
Suicide. Yeah. Just like kind of throwaway suicide references.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But Shoshanna is basically kind of prepping for her date with Scott. She's getting advice from Jessa, but not really taking the advice because Jessa's full of shit and Shoshanna kind of knows it. And I feel like there's not much else really to glean.
Doesn't she say this is your superpower? Like at the end of the scene?
I guess she does.
She does like because she's like, this is what Jessa's around for. Like this is what she's good. She's like, this is the thing you're good at.
Yeah.
Don't try and take away Jessa's one trait that seems positive to Shoshanna.
What, her advice is her superpower?
Oh, I guess her like stuff with. I don't know if it was her advice, but more so her like way to get men to like her. Because that's what like Shoshanna
getting her claws into guys. I guess.
That's what Shoshanna had mentioned in an earlier episode. Is like, oh, remember when they were on the road trip?
Yeah.
How could Jessa be depressed? Like, she's pretty and guys like her. Like that's the shallowness of Shoshanna.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, I mean, later on, we get to see Jessa's advice in action. Jessa's advice that she gives to Shoshanna is like, you need to do something spontaneously sexy, like something to make him like interested in you that's spontaneous that he would never expect you to do. And Shoshanna's kind of like, all right. You can see her like the wheels turning, and boy, does it ever turn.
Yeah.
But before all that, Shoshanna goes flyering with Ray for his political campaign.
Is flyering a word? Is that a real handing out flyers? You get to say that flyering.
We said flyering in college when I had to do it for like shows that I was doing, like when I was in my sketch comedy group.
Okay.
It was like, oh, we're going flyering, and you just stand outside and Mitch Hedberg joke. Here, you throw this away.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going on. Nobody wants flyers, dude. It's fucking awful.
Did you notice what Ray's pen say?
Yes, I did.
What is it? Mayday, Ray Day?
It says, all I could really read was, it said like something about it's Ray Day.
It's Mayday, Ray Day. Yeah. Which is just a terrible slogan.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. And while they're flying, like no one's paying attention to Ray because he's trying to be like, "Hey, do you know about the election that's coming up?" And people are like, "Fuck no, dude! Like nobody gives a shit about those local elections." And then Shoshanna is basically just like, Ray says that he's going to give you free bagels before 11, and like making these promises.
It was like lower taxes and free bagels before 11.
Yeah, and then like some hipster guy takes a flyer from Shoshanna and he's like, "Oh, thanks. I'll see you later." And she's like, "I'll see you later." It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, Shoshanna's got it. She's got that it factor that every guy wants.
Yeah. No, not at all.
But Ray could make the bagel thing a reality because he does own a coffee shop.
That's true. His coffee shop would go out of business so fast.
You could during the campaign, he could probably give away free bagels. But when you're selling $4 or $5 coffees and other stuff, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. Bagels are cheap to make.
The Ray calls her out for making false promises, and basically his campaign is like, I'm the politician that's going to give you the truth. And then she's like, who gives a fuck about the truth? Nobody cares about the truth.
But this is what you were talking about. You were saying, oh, is Ray going to get really corrupt as soon as he like gets in? And like, Ray's trying to do the right thing. Shoshanna wants to market it. Shoshanna just wants to market and like, I mean, she's not wrong that politicians are like campaigning just to get in and don't care about the truth. But like, Ray's got a moral grounding. Yeah.
And for some reason, Ray calls her out on like, he calls her out on being, he's like, I can't make false promises. Like, that's not a way to earn the votes. And she's like, nobody cares about the promises. They care about the results. And Ray's like, I don't know how you're not the head of a Fortune 500 company yet.
Which is one of those like very like being like, wow, you're so cutthroat. You should be in charge of a lot of other people's like livelihoods. Like, it's such a bad mentality that we have. Because even later, there's a Ivanka Trump reference. Like, it's just that kind of thing that,
like
what we
capitalism.
What we value in the system. Like, the honest guy is like, oh, you're a loser. She just lied to some guy about bagels and taxes, so she's a winner. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, once you're in, fucking who cares,
All the people that are going to be screwed over by you.
Hey, Vance, ever heard of a little phrase called fake it till you make it?
Actually, no.
Oh, man. So that they get to talking about dating stuff, and Ray's like, I feel like we are at this point now where we can talk about this. Like, we're chill. We're friends now. She's like, I actually got a date with a soup mogul guy later today. And he's really intriguing. And Ray's like, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. Like, you should have somebody that is intrigued by you and who's intriguing and has like a path in life. You should totally have that. And she's like, thanks, Ray. And she's like, well, what about you? What do you got going on? And he's like, I made an eHarmony account, but nothing really came of it because I don't feel right doing it because, I still have feelings for somebody else. And Shoshanna's like, Ray, I thought that you were over me. And he's like, it's not you. And then she's like, fucking Marnie?
Yeah, he just gives her that look of like, it's not you. And she's like, who? And he's like, how many other people do you know?
Yeah, I know, right?
And
like, I couldn't have possibly met anyone else.
Yeah. I do like that he said he knows it's wrong. And he's just waiting for his heart to catch up with its brain about it. And what happened with Marnie later this episode really sets up some nice drama here.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was well done. But yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get the relationship there. Like,
they don't get it either. But they have. But, Charlie's no more along, so we got to find a love interest for Marnie. And, yeah. I mean, I didn't mind their relationship once it kind of started and they started having, like he was just being honest with her and calling her out on stuff. And, like, she was kind of, like, she would call him out on stuff. But Shoshanna calls him out on stuff more and in a better way than anyone. But yeah.
Ray and Marnie like gave each other the truths that they each needed to hear.
Yeah.
But there was no way that would ever work.
I mean, I feel like Ray would have to just put up with so much stuff and just let so much stuff slide all the time to just make it work.
Dude, people don't want to hear the truth.
No.
People never want to hear the truth. Yeah. And if you have a relationship based on like calling each other out on each other's bullshit, dude, that sounds horrible.
It's not going to last that long.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Shoshanna's pissed that he's still all about Marnie, I guess. Not like pissed, I guess maybe more disappointed or like how was that even like a thought in your mind maybe?
Yeah.
But anything else to add on that?
No, that's it. They're just kind of planting seeds right there, which is a good character scene that then leads to something that can tie in later. So it's like really it's like subtle, you know?
Yeah. It's a setup. It's a good subtle setup.
Yeah.
And by the end of the episode, you kind of forget all about it because there's so much other shit going on. And then whenever it pays off, if it does, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, they set that up like one episode ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's done really well.
So Shoshanna's then on the date with Scott, the soup mogul guy, and it seems to be going very well. Scott seems like super chill with her, and she's charming him enough to, I guess, warrant him enjoying the date.
Yeah, their date, they keep talking about their exes and
which I thought was weird. That's something that you're never supposed to do on a first date.
Yeah, it was interesting because this comes off of a scene where Fran, who's in here in the Hannah scene, is talking about his ex being crazy. So all the guys in this show are talking about how weird their ex-girlfriends are and how bad they are and how much of toxic trouble they are. And then most of the women are talking about this misogyny.
Yeah.
Like when the guys aren't being misogynistic necessarily, like we'll go into some scenes of that, but yeah. And then I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, this is also where Shoshanna kind of confesses that she feels like a failure, and she thought that she'd have a job by now to make all of her failure friends feel like losers. But it turns out that she's also a failure. And Scott kind of reassures her, like, hey, we don't use words like that, like failure, loser, and lame, and stupid, and stuff like. He's like, we don't use those. And then Shoshanna's like, what about lame sauce? Is that okay? And it's like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have rolled my eyes any harder at like that being like the funny banter in the scene. Like,
yeah.
But it was weird when he's like, we don't use words like that, because that's kind of something like a parent tells kids.
Well, I was like waiting for him to provide alternatives or give a pep speech.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be, we don't use words like that, and then something else. Instead, it was just the lame sauce joke. And it's like, well, I guess we could say lame sauce. And I'm like, that sounds even worse.
Yeah, I was expecting him to be like, we don't use terms like failure or loser or whatever, because you're not. You're figuring it out. It's a difficult world out there. So you're not a failure.
Work in progress, you know?
Yeah. Shit like that, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of stopped when he's like, we don't use words like that. And then she's like, what about lame sauce? And he's like, oh, you're so charming.
Well, that's what I mean. It felt like a parent telling a kid, no, we don't use words like that when they say, like, I hate this or something.
Yeah.
You know?
It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was kind of dumb.
Their whole banner, their whole, like, flirtatiousness. But let's get to the meat of this scene, really. The next scene.
Get to the fucking meat, because that's what Shoshanna wants to do. So they start talking about their exes, and then they're like, let's stop. They go back and forth about how crazy their exes are, and Shoshanna's kind of trashing Ray. And then she, out of nowhere, is kind of like, well, we should stop focusing on the past. And Scott's like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should stop that because, it's all about the future and looking forward. And then Shoshanna says something like, yeah, like how I'm looking forward to having my hand around your hard cock. And Scott's like, what? And then she's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to how I'm going to have my hand around your cock, and then I'm going to stick it into my slimy vagina like a Vlasic pickle or something.
Yeah, it is.
It was awful dirty talk. It was
awkward as hell. Like, it comes out of nowhere. Like, the segue into it is awful. Her delivery of it isn't flirtatious. It's like stilted and stiff.
Yeah. And she says like a bunch during it. She's like, and I keep thinking about like how hard your hard cock and like how I'd put it in my slimy vagina.
And she says slimy vagina, which
dude,
turns it all off. Like, it's one of those. Yeah, it wasn't great.
I think Scott's reaction to it was very good and very genuine. Like, if a girl started talking like that to me in that tone of voice and just out of nowhere, I'd be like, what? Where's this? I mean, sure. And he's like, and I'm looking forward to that too. But what are you doing? Like, this is weird. My
thing with this is the way they came out together to go on this date was her negging the hell out of him.
Yeah, calling him a loser.
Yeah. So, okay, there's no redeeming quality right there. Then they go on this date, and it's kind of going all right. I guess, whatever. It's forced. It's kind of forced in the way it's all playing out. But it's going fine. They're past the meal. And then she says this line. And you're like, okay, those are like 2 strikes of like weirdness. Like,
yeah.
Like, so, like, that's so... It was done so poorly. And it's funny because it's like her trying to be Jessa. Like, trying to be Jessa and just failing miserably.
Yeah, she's taking Jessa's advice and be like, all right, I got to do something surprising. Hey, I want to put my hand on your hard cock and put it into my slimy vagina.
Because if we did the same scene and it was Jessa, she would have like leaned in, did the sleepy, dreamy eyes. She would have said it with her accent. Like, it would have worked a little better.
It would have worked better. I think
she would have segued into it, yeah.
She would have said it with her hand already on, like, the dude's inner thigh.
And a lot more would be said with the eyes and the look. Like, the look that Shoshanna has is, like,
uncomfortable. Yeah, and I don't think Jessa would ever say slimy vagina.
No. She would have chosen some different words.
Yeah, for sure. As she should. And Scott's basically just like, what are you doing? Like, I can't, like, and I'm looking forward to that stuff too, but it's really hard for me to concentrate when the cast of The Good Wife, was that the show?
Yeah.
It's like The Good Wife is over there. And then Shoshanna's like, what? The Good Wife?
And I'm like, what an awkward segue back to not what she just said.
Like, yeah, man.
Like,
I mean,
hey, I know you just said some weird shit, but there's some TV stars at the bar. Like what?
Yeah, man, that was just a weird scene.
Yeah.
But
we're missing a part where he says, because she went on this date with him because she was like, I'm just gonna marry the soup mogul and just be a wife. And he's like, yeah, I got rid of my ex because she just wanted to, like, you know, be with someone that could like smooze and go to parties with like Ivanka Trump and stuff like that.
Spend $1,700 on a couch.
Yeah, and she's Shoshanna's like, yeah, that's not me. Like, even though that's the whole reason she's even on this date.
Scott's looking for someone that is also ambitious and not just trying to, you know, be a housewife.
Yeah, that's why he asked out the girl who blew up a job interview to be a marketing person at his soup company.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not smart.
He's the opposite of Fran, I would say.
Yeah. That basically wraps up Shoshanna's little story on this episode. And Marnie, should we do Marnie now?
Yeah. Sure. Let's get into it. It's short.
So Marnie is at home doing dishes or something, doing some kind of chore, and then Desi bursts in the door and he's like, guess what? Sugar lumps in this box. It's something that's going to change our lives forever. And Marnie's like, oh, okay, like, what is it? I'm interested. And he opens the box and Marnie's like, I don't know what the fuck this stuff is. It's a bunch of electronic stuff. And Desi's like, these are German guitar pedals, and it's going to elevate our sound to the next level. This is basically what all distortion pedals get their inspiration from. And I got such a sweet deal on it. And Marnie's like, how much was it? And he's like, $2,000. And Marnie's like, are you fucking serious? That's our entire advance from the record label, I guess.
Yes, apparently they have an album and or EP or LP or whatever, and they have an advance. So
yeah, I feel like $2,000 is not a lot for an advance, but I don't know.
Okay, $2,000 for an advance, I don't know if that's a lot, but him spending $2,000 on pedals, didn't really seem like that. Like, I don't have instruments or anything, but that to me didn't seem like so much money that it was $2,000, but I was like, was he spending their $2,000 from the advance, or does he also have $2,000 because he's a working actor? Like, I don't know how much money, what their money situation is to have that 2,000 be like the breaking point.
Yeah, I can tell you. So I have an entire pedal board, and it's like, let me see, 7 pedals plus a power supply to power all the pedals, and it's less than $1,000. And I'm not gonna brag. I feel like I get some pretty good tones out of my pedal board.
But you also aren't like a full-on musician. Like,
yeah, I'm not a freak like that.
But you're not a musician that's getting paid to make an album too.
Very true.
Yeah.
So Marnie's pissed off that he spent the entire advance, but maybe he's got his own money, you know?
Yeah, that was the thing. I needed just that one little line of like, no, I didn't use the advance money, or like, I did this, or like, what are they making money from otherwise? Like, is $2,000 all the money they have? Like, is Marnie still working somewhere else? Is she still working for Susan? Like, that's the thing. I just wasn't. I get they wanted to make this money drama, but I just needed a little more things to figure out, you know?
Yeah.
Marnie's
pissed.
It was harsh. The only person that doesn't really get called out for being misogynistic is Desi. And Desi called her a bitch. Like,
he's like, I can't believe you're being such a fucking bitch right now about this. Yeah. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, this guy sucks.
He's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, good Lord.
Yeah. And he storms out. It's like, you ruined my day, rain cloud.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
And Marnie's, Marnie has tumbled down the likability rankings. If you've been paying attention to our likability rankings for the last little bit, Marnie is a very wholly unlikable person. And in this instance, I was like, no, she's not in the wrong here.
Yeah.
Unless it is his own money.
Well, I mean, they could have a rational conversation about this.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
like, dude, I need to know that he's been buying other stuff all the time. Like, I just need to know a little more than he bought something randomly one time.
Yeah. Look, Desi, next time you want to pedal, come to me. I'll give you some advice, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you can get good pedals for fucking way less than $2,000.
But like, if he bought a MacBook for like $2,500, like, would that be like a breaking point? It's just like, I'm trying to figure out like what the situation is.
So when he came in with the box, I recognized that there were cables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought that he had bought his own recording equipment so that they could record at home. But when he's like, it's a $2,000 guitar pedal, I'm like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? But I'm not a professional musician. This isn't necessarily like my heart's passion and career path or whatever.
Well, and there's 3 guitars in the background of that shot hanging on the wall too. So
yeah,
I figured he's just a person that spends money on musical equipment.
Yeah, he's a gearhead probably.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's always fixing his bike. Like, I don't know. So I just needed a little backstory of like him doing it another time, or just like where their money situation was. But whatever. That's the drama. He wants to spend money. And it seems like it's all set up not about that in the next scene. It's just a weird scene.
Yeah, and I mean, there was, oh fuck, I can't remember what the point was that I was about to make. But he storms out and he's like, can't believe you're being such a bitch about this. And he's like, you ruined my day. And yeah, that's where they leave that. And Marnie's super pissed about it. I feel like kind of within reason, but anyway. So then Marnie's texting at a coffee shop. She's just chilling, cooling off, I guess.
She's at Toby's estate. Which,
oh yeah, you recognize it?
Yeah, I had a friend that worked there. It's a really like big but like very chic coffee place in Williamsburg. I forget exactly which street, but yeah.
Well, she's at, what is it, Toby's?
Toby's estate.
Toby's estate, texting, cooling off, and Desi comes to apologize to her, and he's like, "Look, I'm sorry. I'm trying to apologize," and she starts to like, they start to get into it again, like have a little argument.
No, she's talking about how money is a really sensitive issue because it like broke up her parents, and that's what happened to their marriage, where the allocation of funds or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like their relationship has a lot of issues, and like money is like the bottom of it. Like every issue they've had has been a problem, and now this is just another to heap on.
Yeah, I feel like Desi storms out like every episode.
Or they get in a fight over anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they start bickering about that, which, you know, Marnie, I guess, has a good point. She brings it up. You're like, hey, look, this money stuff. Money ruins relationships a lot of times. That's what happened with my parents. And you can see like, yeah, okay, I guess you have a point or whatever. And then Desi's like, listen, just shut the fuck up. I'm trying to tell you something. It's just like,
essentially, yeah.
And then as soon as he's like, I need to tell you something, and he's like shifting around and being real weird, I was like, oh no, is this going where I think it's going? And good Lord, is it going where I think it's going? Desi's talking about, hey, I decided that I don't want to make another decision without you. I've decided this today. So Marnie digs into his coat jacket, pulls out a ring. Will you marry me? Marnie says yes. Where'd he get the money for that ring?
Oh, wow. Good one. Good one. I did not even think of that part.
Yeah.
Because, no one cares if you spend
absolutely not.
If you spend $4,000 on the ring.
No, yeah,
doesn't matter. Yeah.
No,
I wasn't even thinking about where the ring came from. My thoughts were like, wait, are we gonna have another wedding in this show? 2, I was like, oh, Ray just mentioned that he still has feelings for Marnie, so the news of this engagement will really hit him.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's a cool setup. And then it's just like, wow, Marnie, you just said yes to that guy.
I know. I was expecting her to go, fucking no, and where did you get the money for this ring?
I wasn't even thinking about the money thing. That's such a great point that you brought up. I love the wide shot of no one reacting in the coffee shop. Like, there's one lady on a laptop that kind of looks back over her shoulder, and then there's a business guy in the front. He's just staring at his laptop. Another person just drinking coffee. No one, it's not like one of those cliched restaurant scenes where everyone starts clapping and everyone's like, oh my God. No one could give two shits about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they also did it kind of in quiet, it seems like.
Yeah, but no one's talking in there, and he's been just yelling at first.
That's true. Yeah, he did yell at her. They
weird.
were both yelling.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're engaged now, which is the worst. That was the worst.
I can't wait. Honestly.
This relationship is doomed, dude.
Yeah, of course.
Desi is such an impulsive fucking ass, dude. I hate that guy.
I love that he just does something dumb and just keeps getting brought back by Marnie.
Yeah. He does something dumb and then somehow does something dumber.
Yeah.
And then she's on board with the dumber idea.
I never want to make a decision without you again. Will you marry me? I'm like, you could still make a decision with her without being married to her. Like, you could still make decisions without her while you're married, and it'll be even worse.
I just remembered the point that I wanted to bring up earlier. So the reason why he got the guitar pedal is because he wants to like take their sound to another level. And Marnie's like, wait, we're changing our sound? I didn't know that we were doing that. And he's like, I mean, maybe down the line in the future. So he bought the pedal for no reason at the present time, it seems. He's like maybe 2-3 albums down the line.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. I thought when he said that the issue could have continued from what we had before when in the episode where they got upset because they disagreed over what the sound was. Yeah. So they could have just had that argument again, even though it would be a little repetitive. But like, it's just him doubling down on, oh yeah, we're changing the sound. Yeah. And they're just having creative differences. Instead, it was like, oh no, now it's money. So.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed in Marnie's decision making. I was fully expecting her to say no and be like, where did you get the money for this ring? And then she was just like, yes, Like, what a stupid decision.
Yeah.
What a dumb. But, so we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just to set up the Ray stuff. Like, is Ray going to have to storm into a wedding and, like, pull him away? I don't know.
Yeah.
Will it even get that far? Will that even get that far?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope by the next episode, Marnie's like, yeah, you know what? I rethought this. This is dumb. This is a dumb decision.
She won't.
She won't. Absolutely not. So Hannah now?
Yeah.
And then mystery. Not really much of a mystery after Hannah.
No.
So at the beginning of this episode, Hannah is teaching and she's still a sub at this school. And then she starts to pal around with this one student named Cleo, who's actually, I'm guessing, I think it's Judd Apatow's daughter.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's Maud Apatow.
Okay. I was like, she looks familiar, but I'm not sure okay.
Yeah, so she's friends with her now, and they're just palling around. Hannah's talking to her about boys, and Cleo's like, the guy didn't message me back. And then Hannah's like, look, I looked around the school, and there are no cute guys here.
Yeah, she says, I checked out every guy in school. And I was like...
Yeah, well, I feel like it gets a lot worse from there.
Yeah.
Like, Hannah's like, none of these guys are cute enough for you. And Cleo's like, I know, right? And, dude. And then Cleo says something about like, well, none of them are going to compare to my crush. I have a crush on Shia LaBeouf. And Hannah's like, well, I don't think you really have that much of a shot with him, mainly because he's famous. And Cleo goes, well, he does live in my building. And then Hannah's like, well, I mean, maybe you do have a shot. And I kind of like the little bit of illegal activity that would happen with that. And I was like, what the fuck?
No, she wasn't saying illegal activity that happens with that. She's saying his like legal issues are like Shia LaBeouf during this time period would be like getting in trouble for like little legal stuff. And that's what she was saying. Like he has a bad boy thing.
Oh.
Not illegal activity. Not like underage stuff. No.
That's what I was thinking. But still, regardless... It is illegal activity.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I assume she's not 18.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a high school,
there's 18-year-olds in high school.
That's true.
Yeah. So I don't think that's what the point of that was. It's more the problem of Hannah.
Yes.
Being friends with these people.
Yes. And then they go walking down the hallway, still talking about boys and stuff, and fucking they run into Fran, who is wearing an Old Man in the Sea t-shirt.
Yeah, and just a black shirt that just has like a square logo on it. That's Old Man.
Just like the front cover.
Yeah.
Of the book. It's like he made it himself.
Yeah, he says his mom got it for him. And it's like this awkward moment where like a teacher is with like two teens, in a hallway.
Yeah. And it's just awkward. And they're like having a hard time making eye contact with Fran. And they're just like, okay, this is weird. Yeah.
And he walks off.
Then, Fran buggers off.
Really? You're bringing that back? Come on. It's the only thing our listeners want to end.
Really? You're bringing that?
Oh, man.
You talk
about. No, so they leave, and then Cleo's like, asks Hannah if she wants to go get something pierced. And Hannah says, oh, no, I have a 2 p.m. class. And the girl's like, I do too. So they have off-campus privileges, which is nice. Like they can leave school. Do they though? Or I guess the girl can just walk out of school.
I never went to a high school.
I had that in high school once you were a junior.
See, I never did.
Oh, it was great.
That's crazy.
Because we had class schedules that were like kind of pre-college, where you had like blocks that would have free time, so you didn't have like class after class after class all the time. So if you had a free block, you were free to do whatever you wanted after junior year.
Yeah, my school, we had free blocks, but you weren't allowed to leave. You just like basically stayed in your homeroom classroom and did homework if you had any, or studied or something.
Were you free to roam the halls at that point or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we had free. Like my school was pretty lax on that. Like, yeah.
So I mean, I thought that they were just like ditching school. So I was like, wow, she kind of. In my mind, I was like, she kind of promoted a little bit of pedophilia. Now they're both ditching school. And she's befriending her student, which just like, this is just a cauldron of bad ideas.
I really thought the whole episode was going to be this. Like, Hannah trying to, that I've never been kissed type movie, type situation where it's just like, oh, now I'm in high school again. I get to just relive high school, but like now I can do it over and I'm like, cooler now, you know?
Yeah.
But they don't really go with that. Like that isn't, it's like a part, and maybe next episode or later they'll kind of dive in deeper, but that they don't really go too far with it.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, do you want to get a piercing? And then they're like, oh yeah, let's go. And they go outside and they hear a song. They're talking about boys and they start twerking and dancing.
Yeah, Cleo starts to give Hannah advice about Fran and how awkward it is, and and Hannah's like, I mean, I don't know why it'd be awkward. I still really like him. Like, I just, that date was going well and I was having a good time. And, I just kind of fucked it up when I did shit with Adam or whatever from the last episode. And Cleo's like, you just gotta blah, blah, blah. I don't remember. And then they hear a song and they start twerking, like you said. And then a construction guy's like, yeah, move it, girls. And they're like, ew. And this is why I thought pedophilia, because Hannah's like, we're just little girls. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, she was like, we're teens or something. Like, she pretty much lumped herself into the age category of her student. Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as like pedophilia, more like statutory. Like, I don't think this girl's like, so like, I don't know. It's not like I never got pedo vibes, except for when Hannah's like, I checked out every boy in the school, and I'm like, don't be checking out the students, Hannah.
Yeah, there's some definite statch vibes.
Yeah, and if you're doing that, Hannah, don't tell people that you're doing that. Like, you're a teacher, you're checking out boys and like telling girls who you think they should date. Like, it's a weird line. Yeah. That's the only thing I was worried about with Hannah being a teacher. Like, I think she can relate to students, but like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if like the popular jock guy starts to take an interest in her, she would definitely fuck that student.
She'd think about it for sure.
She would 100% bring it up at the next all-girls meeting, like with the girls. She'd be like, there's this guy who really wants to fuck me, or he's like really giving me vibes. And then Marnie would be like, Hannah, he's a senior in high school. And then Hannah would say something like, yeah, I mean, you're just jealous because you're not getting that kind of attention from blah, blah, blah.
That's not how Hannah talks, and you know it.
She would somehow make it like that.
The cadence would be different. But no, then they go and they're actually going to get piercings.
Yeah.
And Hannah suggests the worst thing I could think of. And it's I don't know the name of it. It's the little flap under your tongue.
Frenulum.
Frenulum? Oh, we're going to get some frenulum friendship piercings or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So Cleo lays down. They're like, we're both going to get this piercing. Hannah's like, okay, cool. Cleo, you go first. And as soon as she said that, I was like, Hannah's not getting this piercing.
I was like, this is absolutely Hannah not getting this.
Yeah. So Cleo plops down to get her piercing. Guy pierces it. And she's like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. The guy that's piercing her is like, I can't keep going if you don't stop moving. You need to stop moving. And she's just like, ow, 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 ow. She's wincing, and Hannah's looking at her like, oh my God, this is so gross. I was watching it. I had to turn away because I was like, this is gross.
Well, they did it graphically. Like, he's clamped the tongue, and like, I don't know if she really did. She might have really gotten pierced there.
Yeah, me.
Like,
that's what
I was thinking. At first, I was like,
thinking.
oh, this is fake. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe this is just a real on-camera piercing.
Yeah,
we haven't done the research into it yet. Like, we just finished the episode, but yeah. And it kind of is on par with Apatow's 40-Year-Old Virgin, like where the waxing, where Steve Carell gets waxed. So it's like he's really getting waxed. Those are real reactions. So
yeah, I think that also on This Is 40, his Leslie Mann, that's his wife, right?
Judd Apatow's wife, yeah.
Yeah. I think that she actually got like a real mammogram too on that. So he's a fan of like, yo, you're doing this for real, even if you're my daughter or my wife.
Yeah. The mammogram is like the lightest part. Yeah. But no, that piercing was brutal. It's like, what is the point of piercing underneath your tongue too? You can't even see it.
Yeah. It's like, I think Hannah said something about like, it's a secret sexy thing.
Yeah.
But I just don't care. You know?
Like, I enjoy eating food too much.
Yeah.
And talking. Like, she's going to be numb. Like, I was waiting for him to give her something to, like, rinse her mouth out afterwards. Like, I was like, something? Like, it was just,
yeah, I feel like that would definitely probably getting infected.
But really what I thought was that this girl was going to flip out on Hannah when Hannah says, nah, I'm good. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
She's like, and this is a life lesson that you can change your mind when you're an adult.
Yeah. So yeah, Hannah does not get the piercing and she's like, haha, you got the piercing, but it looks really cool. And Cleo's like, oh, Hannah.
Yeah. Well, getting piercings, like, I could never think of like getting a piercing. Like, I have my left ear pierced, but I haven't worn an earring since I was like, good Lord, like, I don't know how long. I got it pierced when I was like really young. Like,
yeah, I always wanted to get a piercing, but my dad was like, you're not getting a piercing, because like all of my friends had their ears pierced.
Yeah.
And at this point in my life, I'm kind of glad that I never did get a piercing.
I mean, I like, it doesn't even matter and it's not noticeable, but I would never be like, what should I just do today? Let's just get a piercing. You know, like,
yeah, no.
Yeah.
And
like with no direction of what you're getting pierced. Like, they were just going.
There's no planning. They were just like, let's just go. We'll figure it out.
Not even a Saturday. It's just like, oh, I got an hour before class.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, how's she gonna be in class with like,
just that?
No.
You're just that bored that you're like, I gotta do something. I need somebody to stick a needle through me. But
yeah, I feel like that's a planning out thing. You know, like I'm thinking about getting, blah blah, my eyebrow pierced or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they just go on, do it on a whim. So more power to them.
Yeah.
So they get back to school.
We never get a follow up. Of what happens after this, like with this girl. Like, we never see her again after this scene.
Yeah. There's no aftermath at all.
Yeah. Which was shocking to me.
Yeah. So the next time we see Hannah, it's she's talking to Fran, who's doing his best to be like, oh, cordial and like, hey, we had an awkward date, blah, blah, blah. So Hannah comes up to him and basically apologizes. She's like, hey, I feel like I need to apologize for our awkward date. That's not what I'm trying to be like. I just couldn't resist and it was awkward and I'm sorry that I made you feel awkward. And Fran's kind of like, all right, thank you. I appreciate that. No worries. And then she's like, and I'm trying to make better decisions in my life. And I think one of those better decisions is hanging out with you. So I'd like to go out again. And Fran is like, nah.
And I just love that reaction. And Fran doubles down on being one of the greatest decision makers in girls' history.
Yes. Yeah, it was and it was realistic too.
Yeah.
Like his turn down wasn't like an over the top, like, no, go fuck yourself. He was like, look, I had a really good time and it's fun talking with you, but I'm not trying to have, he's basically like, I'm not trying to have that kind of drama in my life. And you seem like you bring a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And Hannah's like, I do not bring a lot of drama.
Yeah. And he's like, you think you're not who you are or something like that.
Yeah, dude, that was like the best line. I wish I had written it down.
Yeah.
Because she says something to him about like, no, who you think I am is totally wrong. And he's like, no, who you think you are is totally wrong.
Yeah.
He's like, you think that you're not this drama person, but you are very drama person. And he explains a backstory about like how his ex, how like he's trying to avoid the drama because the last girl he dated drained his bank account. And did she burn something of his? Is that what he was saying?
Battery acid in his plant.
Yeah. And Hannah's like, well, you don't have to worry about that with me because I don't even know where to get battery acid. Like,
you have to cut up a bunch of batteries. Like, and I kind of loved her little rant here, like this little bit of humor of like how you actually, because I do like when it reminded me of when Adam's sister is telling the story about that like made up story about Adam taking the girl to the girl that was sick to a dance or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, was the dress little or was like I love when she like brings in like that weird detail of a story and tries to like analyze it. Yeah. Like, how do you get battery acid? Like, it's a really funny.
I also loves Fran's face during this little rant too, because he's looking like, you are not getting it, lady. Yeah. Like, you're not understanding what's happening right now is that I am rejecting you.
Yeah. And I liked early on when he ran into him in the hallway. Like, he's not trying to avoid her and he's not like super awkward around her. Like, he's like, I want to be cordial. It's fine. Yeah. But we're not dating. Like, we can be friendly, but we're not having a sexual romantic relationship.
Fran seems like a very mature, good decision maker so far in this show. Yeah. And I just know that his decisions are going to turn bad soon.
Well, and this is where we get the first, one of the misogyny things where she says, oh, this is that new misogyny when the girl has her whole life figured out. You try to tear them down, and I'm down for that, she says, which is like the craziest. But yeah, like all of a sudden he's just saying no to being asked out by someone who screwed over their last date, and she's playing a misogyny card.
Yeah, it's like Hannah thinks that she deserves a second chance. Yeah, and it's like, Fran doesn't owe you a second chance. He doesn't. And the whole time she's doing that misogyny rant, Fran is like kind of scratching the back of his head, looking at the ground like, no, this is not what's happening.
Yeah, because it's a hard thing to defend yourself from. Like, but he's like, and it's adding to his point of, drama.
Yeah, and basically Hannah in the end is like, you want me. You know you're attracted to me. You know you're intrigued by me. And it's only a matter of time before you come crawling back. And then Fran just kind of walks away like, alrighty then.
Yeah, she's got a lot of Jessa Ace vibes right there.
Dude, I hope that Fran does not come crawling back. I hope to God.
I don't see him doing it. I
think that he's gonna. Just because I know how this show goes.
I was surprised we saw him again, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad that we did. And I'm glad, like, his interactions with her were awesome. I really enjoyed his acting in this.
I think him in the school kind of like, depending on how long she remains a teacher, is to be seen. Like, it might be next episode where like, did you get a student's tongue pierced and tell her what boys they hit on? Like, who knows when this is going to end. But I do like him being able to like, tell her like what's happening and how she's thinking about stuff, and for her to bounce off her crazy with a little bit.
And they're just their interactions are great. I feel like, because Hannah has these like ideas of herself and like how things should be going, and Fran's like, no. And it's funny and it's kind of interesting, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and Fran's not a perfect person either, so like it's interesting in that way.
Yeah, he's not a perfect person. Was that Hoobastank, The Reason?
I don't know. I really don't know.
And Hannah has one more scene, but I feel like we can touch on it a little bit later, because we got to get to the main event, what you've all been waiting for. What I was most excited about. I giggled when it happened. I wrote in all caps, Vance was right, with an exclamation point.
It happens early too, man. This is the opening scene.
First scene.
Yeah.
So Hannah's father and mother, Tad and Loreen, are in couples therapy. They get out. Turns out Loreen's getting tenure at her teaching position, and Tad seems to be pretty happy and stoked about it. And they're like, all right, this is awesome. They walk out of the therapy and Tad's like, hey, I need to tell you something. And she's like, what is it? And he goes, I think I'm gay.
Does he say I think I'm gay or does he say I'm gay?
He says, I think I'm gay.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Because she's like, what do you mean you think you're gay?
Yeah.
Maybe you're just like, what do you mean you think? Like you haven't thought. And then he's like, no, actually, I know I'm gay.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's like that whole debate about like, do you think it or are you actually gay?
It's amazing that it happens. Like they're walking out of their therapy session. He's like, oh yeah, you're handling me getting tenure before you like really well. Like they're like leaving couples therapy on a positive note. And he's like, hey, I have something I gotta tell you. And just blurts it. Like they're not even out of the building. They're in the car.
Yeah, it's very abrupt.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's one of those things. Like, have you ever had a confession that you had to tell somebody that you just blurted out like that? I've done that with like breaking up with people.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he just had to get it off his chest. I did love that he said, I don't trust the therapist.
Yeah. She's like, why didn't you fucking bring that up in therapy? The person that we pay to listen to these problems. And he's like, I don't trust her.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that decision is warranted? Like, I feel like that is something that you should bring up to your partner, like in private.
Oh yeah,
first.
I feel like that's a private. I mean, again, not me and you aren't gay. We don't have. We don't know about how the process of coming out works.
Hey, not gay yet, Vance. We don't know what the future holds for us. I mean, I'm sure Tad didn't think he was gay, and then all of a sudden he comes to the realization that he is gay.
Well, I think next episode we'll find out more. But Tad probably always knew he was gay, but society pushed him into hiding it. I'm just taking a leap at that, but I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah. I mean, if Elijah was able to call it out from when
Elijah called it out.
Yeah.
Elijah called it out like season 1.
Yeah.
This is season 4, episode 8.
Yeah.
Payoff, dude.
Yep.
3 seasons of waiting.
Yeah.
And
so we've seen Tad a bunch too. Like it's not like we've seen him have sex with Loreen. So we've seen that a lot. But
so naturally, Loreen takes it very personally. Mm-hmm. She's like, "You're just like jealous of me because I got tenure, and like, do you just not want to fuck me? That doesn't mean that you're gay. You just don't want to fuck me anymore." And Tad's like, "No, dude. Like, I am gay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know I'm gay."
Yeah.
And then she starts crying. She's super pissed.
Well, this is the first scene of the misogyny thing where she's like, oh, this isn't about you being gay. This is about me getting tenure before you did. Like,
she's typical misogynist.
Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, so like misogyny is a real thing. It really does exist. But every example in this show is someone like falsely accusing someone of it. Like,
yeah, if anyone is misogynist, like we said earlier, Desi for sure.
Yeah.
Desi for sure.
The only one not called out for it. And I'm sure they're doing this on purpose. I mean, I don't know. But yeah.
Some kind of like comedic juxtaposition or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but misogyny, the word, is thrown around quite a bit in this episode. Quite a bit. It's only said like 2 or 3 times, but
I mean, that's a lot.
It's in a bunch of different of the stories and the arcs.
Yep.
So, Loreen's pissed.
Well,
she's kind of coming to grips with it later on, I guess.
But he says this isn't about you, and then there's an awkward music shift in the tone, and it becomes more upbeat than serious. And she's like, "It's not about me." And like the music comes in, it's like, and she walks off, and it's like, oh, that's a great point. It is not about you, because like it is him coming out, but it does affect you,
exactly,
your spouse, and like the life you built. But then they didn't like hold on to the tension at all, so that moment could like land and resonate. It was like already the intro music was coming in, and it was kind of lighthearted. So I was like, it kind of undercut that line for me.
It would have been better if like Loreen walked away and then just get like a close up of Tad as he's just kind of like dealing with the consequences of that confession and just kind of sitting there. And then this intro song title card isn't as like
Yeah. Like, I just want that, like, last line of Loreen's to, like, land on Ted.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good point, Vance. Good point.
That just... because everything else was just because the two of them are pretty good actors. Like I like when they have scenes together too. So
yeah, for sure. And Tad does play it well, where he's like, he had to get it off his chest and blurt it out. And Loreen's reaction to it is great.
Yeah,
and it's just a good interaction. That's a good scene.
Yeah, because the timing is insane. Like they're just walking out and he just says it there. Right.
Well, he does say that he intended on telling her after the 10-year party, which was apparently like that night.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be like a week later. I didn't realize, this is your party tonight. Like, you were going to tell her after the party tonight? Like, was that going to be better? Like, I don't know. I think it probably would be better than before, but yeah.
That's like one of those things where it's like, it's never a good time to tell somebody that kind of thing.
Never a good time, but he's been wanting to tell her this for so long. Like, it seems very... Like, I could see why she might lean to be like, this is something about the tenure. I don't know why you take this angle if it's a lie, but like, it's such a weird timing for her to think about why you would do it right before we're about to go meet up with our friends.
Yeah. See, that's always the debate that I would have with when it came to like breaking up with somebody is like, is it better to break up with somebody who's already having a bad day? Or would you break up with somebody who's having a good day and just ruin the good day?
Like how Desi's day got ruined by Marnie just asking questions about money.
Yeah. Like, what do you think? Like, if somebody's having a bad day and you're like, oh, guess what? Also, I'm breaking up with you. It's just like, great. Well, you're just piling on my bad day. Or we're having such a good day and they're like, now you broke up with me? Like,
You know what? It's one of those things, like, maybe my answer would change differently if it was a different time. But I'm thinking pile on the bad right now.
Yeah.
Just because good days are so far and few between right now that like if someone's having a really good day, just they gotta have that whole day. Because like one like thing will ruin that whole day. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Like, if you just have 3 bad things in one day, at least you can get them all out of the way. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Is it better when it rains, it pours, or just a sudden thunderstorm on a sunny day?
Just a trickle of misery throughout the week. Oh, man. But yeah. Would you say, would it be better to give news? My other question on that is it better to give bad news earlier in the day or at the end of the day?
Ooh. I'd say... I'd probably say earlier in the day. Because if you get bad news right before you're supposed to go to bed, you're not going to be able to go to bed and you're going to ruin that next day. If you do it early in the day, at least you have time throughout that same day to process the bad news.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel?
That's kind of how I feel too. Just because otherwise you get the bad news at night, it hits you, you don't full process, you go to sleep, good sleep or bad sleep, you wake up the next day, and then the next day is processing.
Yeah.
You know, so like it kind of ruins 2 days that way.
Yeah, you ruin, let's say like 1.25 day versus 1 whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. We got some
let us know what you guys think out there.
Yeah, and also the breakup thing. Because that's always an interesting debate, I feel.
Yeah.
Doesn't have anything to do with Tad being gay, but whatever.
It not about Tad being gay.
Oh, it's not about Tad being gay. Vance, you're on fire, dude. So the next scene with them is Tad getting wine, and Lorraine's just still kind of dealing with the news.
Yeah, she's sitting in the car crying, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I got 2 bottles of Riesling. And she's like, who gives a Riesling is too sweet. Nobody likes Riesling. And he's like, the Germans like Riesling. It can't be that sweet.
Yeah, he says that in the next scene when they
when they're actually at the party.
Yeah, but he buys Riesling for the. I didn't know why he was buying Riesling. At this point, I still don't know that they're going to a party. And I'm like,
me neither.
Is Riesling the drink that you guys are going to drink and talk about stuff at home with? I was like, you're going to get like German wine? Like, It is sweet. It's a good like summertime like out like drink kind of thing. But yeah, I was like, why are you guys pounding Riesling? Like this seems like a Scotch or vodka or something, you know? Your therapist friend would be like, hey, you need something harder than Riesling.
You're going through some
What's
shit.
the prescription for your spouse comes out? 2 pints of Jack Daniels and a 40.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have to imagine that being pretty rough. Or is it?
Well, like what we were just talking about, it's one of those things where like she now has zero time to process this before having to be on and entertained and pretend to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah. that is an excellent point.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that the fucking party was that night.
Yeah. Once that happens, you're like, whoa, dude, like maybe you could have waited till after the party.
That's what I was thinking. I was
like if you're gonna come up, like nothing changes. Like, does he feel better now that he told her before the party? Like, was it that? Like, what's when you've been thinking about it this long? Like, and again, I don't know the feelings behind it if someone's really dealing with this, but like, what is another like 6 hours?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, just one more night.
Yeah,
one more night.
Yeah,
Maroon 5.
Whatever. Yeah,
one more night, baby. Vance's favorite band, Maroon 5.
Really weird Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, that was weird, but I love Maroon 5, man. Adam Levine's a fucking stud. Anywho, so that's basically the end of that scene, right?
Yeah, and they're in the car, and then they show up at the party.
Yeah, it looks like Tad's like tries to put his arm around her. She's like, "Get the fuck off of me!" Yeah. So then they show up at the party at Avi and I guess Shanaz's house.
Yes.
And they're like, "Hey, happy 10-year party!" And this is where I was like, "Oh, okay, this is happening now." They bring the wine. Loreen's like, "Yeah, we brought Riesling. It's too sweet. I don't know why we did this." And then that's where Tad's like, "It's not too sweet. The Germans like it. Can't be too sweet if the Germans like it." And then everyone's like, "Oh, okay, there's something going on here."
Tension right away. Great. This party's going to be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they kind of split off. Like
Avi
Avi's
with
played
Tad.
by the actor Fred Malamed. He's been popped up in a bunch of like things. First thing I saw him in was In a World or whatever, that voiceover movie. But he's been in so many things. He's everywhere. He's great.
Do you know who the woman who his wife was?
It is,
because she looked familiar to me too.
Jackie Hoffman, and I'm not sure if she has any relation to Gabby Hoffman at all. But she's been in a bunch of stuff too. But the thing that popped in my mind with her is the scene at 30 Rock, one of the earlier seasons, where Liz is trying to get out of jury duty, and this woman's on trial, and she's talking about like burning this store on fire, and it's relating to like Liz Lemon's relationship with like Tracy Jordan and the other lady, and she's like, "Yeah, I just figured I had to cleanse it with fire, and the fire will solve everything." And it was just so like such a great performance of someone just like giving up on everything. But no, she's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, she seems like one of those people that you're like, oh yeah. She's kind of like a Catherine Hahn, you know? Catherine Hahn's been in so much stuff. Yeah. But you're not like, that's a superstar Catherine Hahn.
But Catherine Hahn has been like lead, like she's a lead of a show, like I think currently. Like these are character actors, these guys, like they're really great, and they've been in like so much stuff, you know.
Or you know who's a person that's like that has had so many chances in Hollywood and nothing really seems to stick for him? You know Jerry O'Connell? Mm-hmm. Jerry O'Connell has had like 90 sitcoms that go for 6 episodes and then they get canceled.
He was just in something recently, and I can't remember what.
I mean, that guy gets work.
Yeah, he's constantly working.
Good for him, man.
Yeah. But I would not put him on the level of like the character actor like this. Like Fred, the guy playing Avi, he reminds me more of like Steven Tobolowsky from like he's in Silicon Valley. He's the guy in Groundhog's Day. That's like, nay, Ned. You know, it comes up like he's popped up in a million things.
Yeah.
So like these are like character actors that you just see, everywhere.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry for that weird aside. Tad and Avi split off from Shanaz and Loreen. Shanaz? Yeah, Shanaz. And Avi's basically being like to Tad, like, is everything okay with you and Loreen? Mm-hmm. And Tad's kind of like, I don't know, man. Stuff is changing. Stuff is kind of weird, but, we're getting through it and we'll figure it out. And Avi's like, really? Are you sure? He's like, I mean, it's just, there's changes. And Avi's kind of reassuring him, like, hey, man, everybody goes through these changes. And Tad's like, really? Ah, interesting.
Yeah. When that happened, I was like, how much does he know? And then I was like, this is going to be really bad if they do that whole sitcom trope of like, he thinks Avi's talking about the exact same thing he's dealing with, but they're talking about something else. And I was like, yeah, but why would Tad think that that's what he would be talking about?
I thought that it was that with the sitcom thing. Mm-hmm. And then I also thought that Tad had the hots for Avi.
Yeah, I thought something like that was happening too.
And then separately from Avi and Tad, Shanaz and Loreen are having a conversation celebrating her tenure. And she's like, Shanaz is like, yeah, fuck that lady that thought she was going to get your job and her stupid little fuck face. She didn't have anything on you. And Loreen's like, ha ha ha, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. Lorraine says, well, now I never have to move again. And I was just like, wait, have they moved a bunch?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't remember that being a thing. Like, I'm sure like you would, like, I don't even know what that means. Like, when you get tenure at a place, it means you've been there a while.
Yeah.
Haven't they both been just in Michigan, like, living in that same house that Hannah grew up in? Like, what is she talking about?
I also didn't know that there was a specific day where like a college or university or wherever they teach at is like, now you have tenure.
It's not a specific day, but like you can get tenure.
I know that professors get tenure, mm-hmm. but I don't know the process to get it or like how it's officially made possible.
Yeah, no, I hung out with a friend of mine from high school. His dad was friends with the guy that was like tenured at NYU or some school like that. Mm-hmm. And he came in town in New York, and me and my buddy went out with his dad and his tenured teacher friend. And it was just like, yeah, it seems like I don't even understand how tenure works or what it is, but if you get it, you're kind of set.
Yeah, it's like once you have tenure, you can't be fired and stuff. It's like
it seems like crazy. A weird thing to give someone.
Yeah, it's very odd.
It's at the level of like being a Supreme Court judge just with no power. Like no one can knock you off. Like you just are there until you quit or die. Like
yeah.
So
then we get like a big dinner scene, and I think that Shanaz says that she invited some other people that Loreen isn't too fond of. It seems like is that it? Is that true?
Yeah. Once they said that, I was like, I don't think we have enough real estate in this show for there to be another group of people.
Yeah,
that are going to like actually matter that much.
Yeah. So they have the dinner scene, and they're basically big up in Loreen and Tad for Hannah being a creative writer person. And they're like, oh, that's nothing. Like, you guys also have great kids. And Avi and Shanaz are like, yeah, but our kid is boring. Oh, Shanaz is like, our kid's boring. And Avi's like, our kid is a cardiac surgeon for kids or something.
Yeah. It's like the creatives getting downing. Like I had an idea for a sketch, like something like that. Yeah.
The mom is like, I'd rather her be a creative.
Yeah,
like,
don't throw your life away and be a doctor.
What a fucking idiot, dude.
Be a sketch writer.
I am a creative, and I would much rather be fucking a cardiac surgeon for fucking...
If you're not a street artist, you're nothing.
Yeah, so dumb. And then the other couple, I didn't even bother to write down their names.
They were talking about something about like kid trying heroin, but like she's an artist, so like that's fine or something. There was some. It was preamble dinner banter.
They just kind of come out with it like, yeah, well, our daughter did meth.
Yeah.
And then we were like, Jesus. And they're like, oh, it's fine. She's a professional dancer. You know, they all go through that phase. And like, oh, God.
And then Tad decides that he wants to give a toast.
Yeah.
And when he started this, did you think he was going to come out to the table?
I thought that he was going to start the toast, and I thought that Loreen was going to out him to the table.
Yes, I did too. I thought something like that was going to happen.
Yeah. So he starts the toast, and he's giving praise to Loreen, and it's like a good toast.
It's a little staggered, though.
Yeah. He starts it off like, I want to toast to my wife, and like, we're all so proud of you. And Loreen starts laughing, and he's looking at her like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you laughing? And you could tell, it seems like he's like, oh no, is she going to out me? But he just keeps going with the toast. And he's like, we're also proud of you. You're like my best friend, the person I started a family with. And then Loreen's just like, will you stop with this bullshit? And then gets up and storms off. And Tad's just kind of sitting there like, oh boy, here we go.
And I love that Avi and them are just like, hey, let's just finish our meals. Let's just like,
everybody like, yeah, calm down and finish our meals.
See, this poor, I feel worse for is Shanaz, is that it?
Yeah.
She just was cooking all this food. It was not catered. Like, They did all this work. They got people over. And now everyone just has to eat a weird solid meal. And then we find out more stuff that makes me feel even worse for this woman. Like, I don't know if she's a nice person at all.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. With her whole little rant about like, fuck that fucking bitch with her stupid fuck face.
Yeah. So she's probably not the nicest person. She's probably, now I'm wrong. I don't feel that bad. She made fun of their kid too. Yeah. No.
Yeah. She called her daughter boring for being a successful surgeon. Like,
I retract that statement.
She wishes her daughter was on meth. Yeah. Just at least she'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So the next thing you see is Loreen coming out of the bathroom. She flushes. And as she's about to go down the stairs, a door on the side opens and a hand comes out, grabs her, pulls her into the room. And she's like, what the fuck? I thought it was Tad. Turns out it was Avi. Avi closes the door behind her and she's like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Why are you doing this? And Avi's like, look, I know that you and Tad are having problems. That much is evident, at least from this toast tonight, for sure. And Loreen's like, no, shut up. Like, you don't know what's going on at all, dude. And he's like, I know that you're having problems because Tad told me that you're having problems. And she's like, Tad told you? And he's like, yup. And so I'm going to take this time to let you know that I love you. And then he like gives her a big old smooch. And Loreen's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I cannot handle this right now. And Avi's like, well, what about last summer when we hooked up at the beach house or whatever? And she's like, well, that was a mistake. And then I felt bad for everybody involved. And she starts laughing at him, or not at him, but she starts laughing just because, she's having an unbelievable day.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like that. I get the like just laughing as a reaction to that. Like all of this is just so absurd.
Yeah.
Like she walked out of therapy feeling great, had tenure, thought her relationship was fine, found out her husband was gay, got Avi telling him that he loves her.
Yeah. It's like one of those, like, what else could go wrong today laughs, you know?
That's why you say just pile it on, because then it becomes comical.
Okay.
Yeah. Five bad things happening to you, it's just like, after a while, it's just like funny, and now you're curious to see what else can happen. It's like it's what 2020 is in a nutshell.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she starts laughing, and Avi's like, "Are you mocking me? Why are you mocking me? Don't laugh at me." She's like, "I'm not mocking you, dude, but you don't know what kind of day I'm having. Yeah. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes." And you just need to go take a cold shower. And she slips out. And I was like, I loved that scene.
Yeah.
I loved her reactions to everything's happening. It was perfect.
Yep.
So that is the end of the dinner party, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now we're back home with them.
Yeah, now we're
Which
back
I thought
home.
was going to happen. Before the dinner party thing happened, I was like, oh, that's what's going to...
Yeah. So Tad and Loreen are just sitting at home, and Loreen is like, are you really sure about this? Like, are you sure that you're not just confused or like you just aren't attracted to me anymore? And he's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's not just you. And she's like, huh? And he's like, yeah, and I also watch a lot of gay pornography. And then Loreen just sitting there with it, and she's like, so what? You want to suck a cock now? Is that what you want? You want a dick in your mouth? And Tad's kind of like, I mean, I don't know. He's like, you want to...
He's like, don't be crude about it. She's like, no, seriously, I just want to know. Like,
yeah. It's like, this is what you want? You want to... Or do you want a dick in your ass? Or do you want to put your dick in some guy's ass? And Tad's just like, ugh, come on, dude.
And that's when Hannah's mom, you could see Hannah in her, you know? You know what I mean? Like, that's like a Hannah type question. You see like where stuff from the mom transfers onto like Hannah. Like,
yeah.
Because this is exactly how Hannah would be questioning the situation.
For sure.
Yeah.
So at this point, the phone starts ringing, and Loreen goes up to get it, and she's like, it's Hannah, our daughter, Hannah.
No, but before that, she goes, oh, it's probably Avi. He's in love with me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Tad looks like, what?
Yeah, like, which is so great. Yeah.
At that point, when she's like, oh, it's probably Avi, he told me that he's in love with me. At that point, I felt like Tad was going to be like, you know what, maybe I'm not gay. Because he was like, I thought that he was going to be like, he felt jealousy because Avi was in love with her. And so he was like, maybe I'm not gay because now I'm like pissed off or whatever.
Oof, that would have ruined the whole episode if that happened.
Yeah, but I'm glad that it didn't.
Yeah.
But it was like a Tad being like, what the fuck? And then Loreen's just like, I know. Yeah. What a day, right?
It just reminded me of that Breaking Bad scene when, spoilers for Breaking Bad in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, if someone's still waiting to watch it.
I've never seen it, but I'm also never going to watch it.
It's a great show. You should watch it.
Yeah, I know, but so is Girls. And until we do a podcast about Breaking Bad, I ain't watching it.
All right. Anyway, it just reminded me of the scene where, like, Skylar has an affair with her boss or whatever. And, like, in most shows, that would be, like, a whole season of, like, when she's going to get caught, when is she going to find out? And just, like, the end of that episode, she's, like, in the kitchen. Walter White comes in, and she's just like, I fucked Ted. And it was just, like, and it just, like, went to credits right there. And you're just like, great. Like, that's so dramatic. It's just like, oh, she's just going to straight up tell him. And they're going to have to deal with it next episode. Like, I like that she did. It wasn't like this Avi thing was going to linger. It was just like, oh, I just told him.
Yeah.
Like, he knows now.
So she goes to get the phone and she's like, oh, it's Hannah. It's Hannah, our daughter. And I was like, why are you saying it like that? I didn't understand that.
Because he's gay and she's trying to be like, hey, we have a kid together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was really stupid of me. Yeah, good point. So as the phone's ringing, she's like, you have to tell her, right? You have to tell her. And he's like, I'll tell her, but just you answer the phone. And she's like, all right, but you got to tell her. And he's like, I'll fucking tell her. All right. I'll tell her. So she answers the phone and Hannah's like, hey, what's up, mommy? Which I hate. And Lorraine's just like, oh, nothing. What's up with you? And then Hannah just fucking goes on a blab rampage about like, do you think I'm dramatic? Because I was going out with this guy and we went on one date, well, like half a date. And he said that I was really dramatic and blah, 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 blah. And the whole time Lorraine is like, Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah. And Hannah's just bulldozing right over all of it. Just self-absorbed ranting to her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And Lorraine gets fed up with it. And she's just like, Hannah, your father is gay. And then there's a pregnant pause and Hannah goes, okay. And that's the episode.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Like, you knew that she was going to blurt it out once.
Yeah, absolutely.
The, like, repeated Hannah not saying anything. Like, that's the classic, like, okay, you have to say something absurd to get the person to stop talking.
Yeah, exactly. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. There's a lot happening. I'm excited to see where the stuff that happened goes.
Right?
This was a banger, dude.
Like, I'm excited about the Ray. Like, and we said this before in another episode that kind of set up a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm excited to see what the Ray and Marnie thing happened. I'm excited to see Hannah talk to Elijah about this Elijah's dance that he's going to do. And he was like, I told you I was right.
Yeah.
Like, her confiding in him. We still have Adam and Mimi Rose floating out there in the world. We got this. Yeah. We got this Jessa and Ace thing that's like super confusing.
We get to maybe see Shoshanna put her hands on a hard cock.
Sure, yeah, maybe. Or they'll just like go to different bars and do the Sex and the City tour in New York.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, this was good. Set up a lot, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Like,
I mean, we only have 2 episodes left in the season.
Yeah, I mean, this is fucking gonna be big. And the next episode, I feel like we're gonna get some answers because the title of the next episode is Daddy Issues. So we're gonna get something at least.
Oh man, I mean, I'm sure this is gonna be her talking to her dad about him coming out, but the Daddy Issues title could also just deal with all of like Marnie's dad issues. Jessa's got dad issues.
Oh yeah, dude.
Does Adam have parents?
Yeah, Adam was just born of the forest.
Him and his sister just came out of nowhere. I mean, Laird's about to be a daddy, so it could be Laird stuff. True.
Adam is the product of a fucking table saw and a fucking piece of wood, just getting it on. They birthed Adam because he's a big oak man who loves getting shit done with his hands, baby.
Maybe he gets cast as a sitcom dad in a TV series.
Dude, you know what I just remembered? I remembered that commercial that Adam did like a season ago where he was like doing depression.
Oh, that was this
depressant.
Yeah.
That was this season?
Yeah.
That was a funny episode. That was a funny moment. And he's like, this is bullshit. Like, this isn't why I became an actor. This is dumb.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. So thanks for listening, everybody. Stay tuned for the next episode where we talk about daddy issues. See ya.
I'm so confused.
So maybe you're wrong.
I don't think I'm wrong.
How do you know?
Because this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm doing it. And truthfully, I watch a lot of gay pornography.
Oh, God.